Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle the complex and, let's be honest, often emotional topic of infertility. Our goal here is to break down all the medical facts and the science into a guide that's really clear and hopefully supportive. So let's just start with this number right here. 1 in 6. Think about that. The World Health Organization estimates that this is the proportion of couples globally who might face some kind of challenge on their journey to parenthood. It's a huge number that really drives home the point. If this is part of your story, you are so far from alone. So, what does infertility actually mean? Well, you're looking at the clinical definition right here. But the experience, it's just so much more than that. It's deeply human. It's about wanting to build a family and hitting a roadblock you just didn't expect. And you'll notice that time frame gets shorter for women over 35. That's simply because, biology kicks in and time becomes an even more critical factor. Okay, here's how we're going to break this all down. We'll start by looking at just how common this really is. Then we'll walk through the diagnostic journey for women and then for men. After that, we'll dive into the common causes, and finally, we'll explore the incredible modern paths to parenthood that are available today. First things first, it is so important to get this one thing straight. This is not some rare, isolated issue. It's a really widespread health concern that affects millions and millions of people during their reproductive years. And to put that into perspective, look at this number for Vietnam, 7.7%. Now, that percentage might not sound huge on its own, but it translates to over 1 million couples. 1 million. So this isn't just a private struggle, it's a major public health topic that really deserves our attention and our support. All right, so when a couple starts looking for answers, the process is pretty logical. It usually goes down 2 parallel paths at the same time. We're going to start by looking at the comprehensive evaluation for the female partner. This whole process is really systematic, kind of like a detective story. It all starts with a deep dive into medical history and a physical exam. From there, doctors move on to specific tests, each one designed to investigate a key piece of the reproductive puzzle. Now, this is where modern medicine gets really cool and, honestly, a lot more convenient. See, with some of the older hormone tests like FSH and LH, you had to get them done right at the beginning of your cycle. But now, there's a test called AMH, and this one is a game changer. It gives a great snapshot of your ovarian reserve, basically your egg supply, and you can do it anytime during the month, super flexible. Besides blood tests, doctors have other tools in their toolbox. A big one is ultrasound. It's non-invasive, and it lets them get a direct look at the uterus and ovaries. They can check for any structural issues and also do something called an antral follicle count, or AFC. Basically, they count the little resting follicles, and that gives them another really crucial clue about ovarian reserve. Okay, so you've checked the hormones, you've counted the eggs, but there's still a massive question hanging in the air. Are the pathways clear? Can the egg and sperm actually meet? To figure that out, there's a procedure called an HSG. It's an X-ray that uses a special dye to see if the fallopian tubes are open. It's a critical piece of the puzzle. All right, let's switch gears and talk about the other half of the equation, because this is absolutely a team effort. The investigation for the male partner is every bit as critical. Infertility is a couple's journey, through and through. So, for guys, where does the journey for answers usually start? Well, it almost always kicks off with one simple foundational test, the semen analysis. It's straightforward, it's non-invasive, and wow, does it provide a ton of useful information. And when they get those results, doctors are looking at a few key things based on standards from the World Health Organization. It's not just about the total number of sperm, the concentration. They're also looking really closely at motility, which is basically how well they swim, and morphology, which is their shape. All of these things have to be working together for fertilization to happen. And it's really important to remember that these numbers aren't set in stone. So many things can affect them. We're talking lifestyle choices like smoking or drinking, your medical history, like if you ever had mumps, even environmental stuff like exposure to too much heat. There's also something called oxidative stress that can impact sperm quality on a cellular level. Okay, so after both partners have gone through this thorough investigation, the pieces of the puzzle start coming together. A much clearer picture emerges, and it often points to the why behind the challenges. So what does it all boil down to? Well, take a look at this chart. The big takeaway is that it's rarely just one single thing. It's almost always a complex mix. You can see that a male factor is involved in about 40 to 50% of cases, often combined with female factors. And on the female side, problems with ovulation or blocked tubes are also really common. And then for about 10% of couples, even after all the tests, the cause is still unexplained. Speaking of ovulation issues, one of the biggest players here is a condition called polycystic ovary syndrome, or PCOS. It's a super common hormonal disorder that can really mess with the regular development and release of eggs. And it's not just hormones. There can be physical barriers too. For instance, a condition called endometriosis, that's where tissue that's supposed to be inside the uterus grows outside of it, can cause all sorts of inflammation and scarring. Same goes for blocked fallopian tubes, which can sometimes happen because of a past infection like chlamydia. It literally creates a roadblock. Okay, but after all of that, here's the really hopeful part of the story. The good news, and it's really good news, is that medical science has made these incredible leaps and bounds. Today, there are more paths to parenthood than ever before. For a lot of couples, the journey starts with something less invasive, like IUI. So what is that? Well, it often involves some gentle medication to help the ovaries produce an egg or two. Then, the lab prepares a super concentrated sample of the best swimming sperm, and finally, that sample is placed directly into the uterus, right around the time of ovulation, to give it a head start. Now, for more complex situations, there's IVF, or in vitro fertilization. This is a powerful solution. You can see the basic timeline here. It starts with stimulating the ovaries to produce multiple eggs. Then, there's a procedure to retrieve those eggs. After that, the magic really happens in the lab, where fertilization and embryo growth take place, all in a super controlled environment. Finally, an embryo is transferred back to the uterus. And inside the world of IVF, there's a technique that has been an absolute game changer, especially for male infertility. It's called ICSI. So with standard IVF, you put the eggs and sperm together in a dish and hope for the best. But with ICSI, an embryologist actually picks out a single healthy sperm and, using a tiny needle, injects it directly into the egg. It's like giving fertilization a personal helping hand, and it has opened the door to parenthood for so many who thought it was impossible. And this right here, this is the message I really want you to take away from all of this. It's a message of incredible hope. This quote confirms that world-class, state-of-the-art treatments and amazing expertise are available and accessible. The solutions are out there. And the story doesn't end here. The field of reproductive medicine is moving at lightning speed. From genetics to new lab techniques, the innovation is just staggering. Which leaves us with one final exciting question to think about. As science keeps pushing forward, what incredible new possibilities will open up next for the millions on this journey?